This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Well, happy Trans Day of Remembrance. Actually, it's yesterday. We missed it, but, happy day after Transgender Day of Remembrance, which is not to be confused with Trans Day of Visibility, which is in March, or Trans Day of Action, which is in June, or Transgender Awareness Week, or Transparent Day, all big days in this country. This is a tweet from your sitting president yesterday as the killer of Laken Riley was sentenced to life in prison. Yes, they went easy on him. We'll get to that, but we should honor the transgender, people we've lost. Your president tweets this. Today on Transgender Day of Remembrance, we mourn the transgender Americans whose lives were taken this year in horrific acts of violence. Every American deserves to be treated with dignity and live free from discrimination. Gee, I got to ask, Joe, was Laken Riley treated with dignity? Would yesterday be a good day to have a day of remembrance for Laken Riley, a victim of your open border policies? Laken Riley, who would be alive today if you did your job and secured the border and protected Americans? This was the most insane, tone-deaf thing I've ever seen. This was literally moments after Satan himself, Jose Ibarra, was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Laken Riley. Jose Ibarra is an illegal alien from Venezuela who came into this country, committed crimes in this country, committed a crime against a child under 17 in New York, was then released and took a taxpayer-funded flight to Georgia, where he went, quote, hunting for women. He found a young 22-year-old nursing student on a trail out for a jog, and he decided he was going to rape her. When she fought back, he killed her. The struggle lasted 18 minutes, and finally he bashed her head in with a rock. That man was sitting in court yesterday. The judge, Paul Haggard, did a wonderful job. He literally deliberated for less time than it took him to read the verdicts. There were 10 counts, guilty on all 10 counts, and he sentenced him to life in prison, which means the taxpayers will be paying to house and feed him for the next 50 years. I'm sorry. I watched this thing unfold, and all I could think of is we are not a moral, decent country. We are not. A moral, decent country doesn't put this guy up, provide room and board for 50 years. A moral and decent country puts this animal down. That is the only fair and just outcome for this case. The family of Laken Riley stood 15, 20 feet away from this monster, from this demon, and talked about the impact that this crime had on their lives, how this piece of filth stole their beautiful child just because he felt like it. And he wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to be in the country. He wasn't supposed to be flying around on the taxpayer dime to a place where he could find a young woman, his prey. And what happened in the end? He was spared death, spared the death penalty. Would you like to know why? This is the actual reason why Jose Ibarra, a career criminal, a gang member, just a rabid animal, will not be facing true justice. The DA in the case, former DA now, she lost in a landslide in November, but she was the DA when the case came before her. Her name is Deborah Gonzalez. She chose not to pursue the death penalty. You want to know why? I sure did. As this case was unfolding. Why do we have a death penalty if this guy doesn't qualify? Here is why. Deborah Gonzalez, a far-left, Soros-backed DA in Athens, Georgia, said she would not pursue the death penalty because it would, quote, cause collateral. I can't even say this. I'm telling you, this case is just pushed me to the edge. I was sitting in front of my TV yesterday watching this and getting emotional, getting choked up. I think I hadn't cried since, well, my sister passed away, so it's been a few months. I was in tears watching this, and if you are human, if you have a heart, you will be too. We will show you the most just heartbreaking testimony, impact statement from Laken Riley's stepfather. But first, here is why Jose Ibarra is not on death row now. The DA said it would cause collateral consequences to undocumented defendants. Yes, the DA in Georgia said she would not pursue the death penalty because it would, quote, cause collateral consequences to undocumented defendants. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is she's out. She lost by 20 points in her election. She's no longer DA, but she spared the life of this animal. How do you justify anybody facing the death penalty in this country if this savage is spared? This savage who had no rights, he's an illegal alien. Why does he have any rights in this country? Why does he have a right to sit there in his nice button-up shirt and his headphones and listen to this? The whole case is absolutely insane. There is an upside. This was a factor. This was a big deal in the election as well. It should have been. You have a heartless ghoul in the White House, and you have two, actually, Harris and Biden. Just two soulless cretins who made a decision along with Mayorkas, their criminal head of HHS, the guy who said the border was secure, who made a decision, 4 years ago, and said, we need more voters. We need to open the border. We need to import illegal aliens, and we're not even going to bother to vet them. You can't vet someone from Venezuela. We are overrun with gang members, with people with no soul, no humanity, and they did it for political reasons. I'm sorry. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to blame 70 million Americans. You voted for this. You voted for these soulless bastards who allowed Jose Ibarra who flew him into the country unvetted, who gave him a hotel in New York City, the once beautiful Roosevelt Hotel, which has been destroyed by illegal aliens. And then when he said, it's a little cold here. I'd like to go south. You flew him to Georgia. Yes, you did that. If you voted for Joe Biden, if you voted for Kamala Harris, you did this. I'd love for someone to explain to me how they don't have any culpability. Joe Biden said in the primary, in a debate, that he would encourage illegal aliens to, quote, surge the border if he were in office. He wanted this. He asked for this. He was explicit. He wasn't hiding anything. I'll give him credit for once for telling the truth. He said, Jose Ibarra, you're welcome here. Trade gang members from Venezuela, violent criminals, killers, come on in. We need you. We want you. And they did it. They brought them in here. And Laken Riley is dead as a result. She didn't have to die. How do you support that? How do you defend that? Today, if we had another election today, 70 million people would vote for the culprits here, the criminals, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, the impeached head of HHS. You're responsible. You did this. And would you care to hear what Joe Biden said yesterday when justice, for what it's worth, was meted out? Nothing from Biden, nothing from Harris. Oh, she also celebrated transgender, which one was it again? Transgender Day of Remembrance. Yes. Your vice president from her vacation in Hawaii said that we must honor the most marginalized people in society. What the hell? Not a word about Laken Riley. And you think back, they do sometimes comment on local crime stories. How many times did Joe Biden tweet about George Floyd? He hosted George Floyd's family in the White House. Kamala Harris met with the family of Jacob Blake, a career criminal who was killed by the cops, who met with his family. We had George Floyd Remembrance Day for a year. They made statues. He had multiple funerals. A career criminal who died of an overdose while resisting arrest in Minneapolis. That was a national story. But Laken Riley murdered by somebody brought in here by Joe Biden? Not a word. Not a word from the soulless ghoul in the White House. Not a word. Not a condolence, not a call, not a tweet, nothing. And they were responsible for this death. They weren't responsible for George Floyd's death or Jacob Blake's. They have blood on their hands, and they don't even reach out and apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. Joe Biden did apologize after Laken Riley's death. He apologized to Jose Ibarra. He apologized to the man who savagely murdered Laken Riley. If you don't recall, in the State of the Union address, he was forced to mention her name. Marjorie Taylor Greene gave him a pin with her name on it and then shouted at him, and he was forced to acknowledge her. Of course, he didn't call her Laken Riley. He called her Lincoln Riley. That's how much he cared about Laken Riley. He called her Lincoln. And then he called her killer illegal, which is a fact, which is demonstrably true. He's illegal. He's an illegal alien, despite what the mainstream media, the AP today said, man convicted in the death of Laken Riley. Man, just a random man, not a Venezuelan, not a gang member, not a convicted criminal, not an illegal alien, just a man. And Joe Biden called him illegal. And here he is the next day with that pathetic Jonathan Capehart from MSNBC, who thought this was appropriate. After the murder of an innocent girl, a woman, a student, a nursing student, the thing that's at top of mind to Jonathan Capehart is, you called him illegal, which he is, but no, they don't like that. You can't slander, smear murderers. Watch this.
I noticed the look of surprise on your face when you walked into the chamber. You saw Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was priceless. You feigned shock at seeing her. But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing, we have to control the border and more orderly flow. But I don't share his view at all.
So
he's not going to treat a murderer with disrespect. That's our president, sad to say. I mean, fortunately, he's gone in 60 days. But the president of the United States went on television and said he's not going to treat a murderer, a gang member, a criminal with disrespect. And then he says illegal aliens built the country. He is such a disgrace. He is such an embarrassment to this country. It is not, January 20th isn't going to come soon enough. What an absolute despicable human being. I'm not going to treat him with disrespect. He's smiling. And so with Jonathan Capehart, they're smiling, saying, ooh, we're not going to disrespect illegal aliens who murder Americans. How do we get to this place as a country? What a dark, awful, ominous place where our leader, our commander-in-chief, is apologizing to a murderer and smiling and not even getting the name right of the victim. God, this is insane that people voted for that. People still support that. People still respect that piece of crap right there. It's just, all right, I got to take a breath. I got to try to get through this. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be easy. It was in the middle of the day, so maybe lots of people missed it yesterday. Let's do this now. I was going to take a break. You know what? We should be pissed. I should be pissed. And in the courtroom in Athens, Georgia, this monster, this savage was sitting there, I'm going to guess 20 feet away from Lincoln Riley's family. The mother, her mother, her sister, they gave incredible victim impact statements. They begged the judge to show no mercy, and he didn't, but he was hamstrung. I have no doubt if he was eligible for death, the Judge Paul Haggart would have given it to him. But again, a Soros-backed DA made sure we didn't put this animal down. So her stepfather, takes to the podium and reads a letter from Laken Riley to her future husband. Yes, this was an amazing kid. I'm sorry. I know we say that about most victims, but she's going to be a nurse. She want to help people. She's a devout Christian. So she writes a letter to her future husbands, who she hasn't met yet, and talks about what life is going to be like, for the next 60 years with the man she would marry. This is her stepdad reading the letter in court in front of the demon who took her life. He shows no emotion. He just sits there.
You can see him on the left side of the screen for those watching.
There he is in his button-up shirt with his headphones. No emotion, no tears. You got a big-ass cop or security guy in case someone makes a run at this scumbag, which I wouldn't have blamed him. But they kept their composure. They showed incredible grace. Watch this.
I'm so proud of Laken and the beautiful person she was. Well, I can stand here and try to tell the world the things that made her such a wonderful person, as well as the many things we have all been robbed and deprived of. I think one of her last journal entries dated 12/17/23 says it best. So here we go. To my future husband. As silly as I feel writing this, my old small group leader once recommended it, so here I am. To my future husband, I want you to know that I'm thinking about you. I'm working every day to become the best wife I can be. By working through my current relationships to best prepare me for ours and our kids one day. I'm focusing on God and what He defines as a faithful Christian life, and so that I can best embody those characteristics. I pray that you know that it's with my full faith and trust in God that I know this relationship has been handcrafted by Him. I pray that we continue to glorify the Lord, prioritize Him in every aspect of our lives, and raise our family, our future family, to be God-fearing Christians as well. I pray God is the center of our relationship as it is a gift from Him. I thank Him for you before I even know you, and can't wait to love you in the best way I know how for the rest of our lives. I pray you know and feel the importance of my love and hopes for our relationship. No matter what challenges we face, I pray that our trust in God and love for one another overrules the obstacle. May our relationship last forever. Your future wife, Laken. That, Your Honor, was our beautiful Laken. That, Your Honor, is just a glimpse of what was tragically and brutally taken from her and us that day.
He doesn't care. Look at that slob. Look at and by the way, look how fat he is. You know how he got that way? We fed him free food. That's what he got the last couple of years. We fed this pig, housed him, flew him around the country, gave him money and phones and interpreters and lawyers. And he took this beautiful 22-year-old just for his own pleasure. And I got a question. Why are we not impeaching Joe Biden? Why are we not convicting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Why are they not? Donald Trump was impeached for making a phone call to Zelensky and asking him to look into the corrupt Biden family. He was impeached. He was impeached for saying go to the Capitol patriotically and peacefully. He was impeached twice. He was impeached after he left office. So if we have to do that, January 20th, call articles of impeachment drawn up. Impeach, convict Biden. Impeach, convict Harris. Mayorkas has already been impeached. Convict him. Arrest him. Why is no one held responsible for this? Why is it just, oh, well, it happens, as Maura Healey says, stuff happens. How do you brush this off? How was no one held accountable for this? It should never have happened. God, it's just sick. We are a sick country. I hope that changes on January 20th. But these last 4 years, we have been a very immoral, indecent country, allowing our own citizens, young women, to be preyed upon, to be raped and murdered, just so Democrats could have potential future voters. That's it. That's the only reason. Jose Ibarra wasn't here to pick the crops. He wasn't here to clean hotel rooms. He was here as a gang member to commit crimes. And all right, we're going to get to so much more in this because this does nothing to change the minds of Democrats, office holders, elected leaders, mayors, governors, who are doubling down and determined to fight the Trump administration and protect the likes of Jose Ibarra, to protect gang members. They're willing to sacrifice young women like Laken Riley and Rachel Marin and girls like Jocelyn Nungry. They're going to die because Democrats, governors, mayors are going to fight the Trump administration and Tom Homan every step of the way. And they're going to do it because they want to keep people like this in their communities. They want to keep Jose Ibarra. They want to keep him in their neighborhoods, in their communities. That's the goal of Trump and Homan. Get rid of these guys. And they're going to try to fight them and stop them. It is just insane what we're living. We'll tell you what happened in Massachusetts, one day in Massachusetts. And I'm starting to think there's a reason all these deviants are flocking to Massachusetts. I'm going to give you all the details of what happened yesterday in one small state, because that state has made it clear they're going to protect you. If you like to rape kids and sell drugs, if you're just an evil man, come to Massachusetts. They got your back. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Want a better way to simplify finance operations for your business across expenses, vendor payments, and accounting? If so, Ramp could be a complete game changer. Ramp is the corporate card and spend management software designed to help you save time and put money back in your pocket. Ramp's accounting software automatically collects receipts and categorizes your expenses in real time so you don't have to. You'll never have to chase down a receipt again, and your employees will no longer spend hours submitting expense reports. Businesses that use Ramp save an average of 5% the first year, and Ramp is easy to use. Get started, issue virtual and physical cards, and start making payments in less than 15 minutes, whether you have 5 employees or 5,000. And now you can get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/Gerry. That's RAMP.com/Gerry. Cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Again, get $250 when you join Ramp. Go to ramp.com/Gerry. All right, the verdict for Jose Ibarra came down about noontime Eastern yesterday, Trans Day of Remembrance. No acknowledgement from anybody in the Biden administration, none. A lot of people were tweeting about it. Trump certainly send out his condolences to Lake and Riley's family. Lots of senators, congressmen, people, local, governors, they all sent condolences. It was a big deal, and most of America was heartbroken. Not Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris, not Mayorkas, no siree, not Maura Healey, but this was later in the day, and I had to check and make sure it wasn't some like old tweet from Bill Maloogian, who covers the border for Fox News and does an amazing job. He tweets this out at 5:58 yesterday. Here it is. Breaking. ICE Boston announces the arrests of 3 alleged illegal alien child rapists in Massachusetts, 2 of whom are charged with forcibly raping Massachusetts children, and another who was convicted of raping a child in Brazil in 2022, but was hiding in Massachusetts as a fugitive after he was caught and released at the New Mexican border in 2022. All of these arrests took place in Mass, where Governor Maura Healey said the other day her state will not cooperate with the incoming Trump administration's federal immigration enforcement efforts. You ready for this? Case 1. Minor Steven de Paz Munoz, a Guatemalan illegal immigrant, was charged with forcibly raping a child in February. ICE says Great Barrington police ignored their detainer request and released him without notice. ICE found him and arrested him last week in Great Barrington. That's November. February, they released him. A guy charged with force. Can you go back? I mean, it's almost hard to believe these words I'm reading. He was charged with forcibly raping a child in February. Local police ignored the detainer and released him. ICE found him 8-9 months later and arrested him. What the hell is going on here? This is what, if you're a Democrat, this is what you voted for. You voted for this policy. You voted for a policy that forces the local police to release a man who forcibly raped a child because he's an illegal alien. Case 2, Alexandra Roma de Oliveira, a Brazilian illegal alien, was convicted of child rape in Brazil. He fled to the U.S., where he crossed in the U.S. illegally in April 2022 and was somehow still released into the country despite a child rape conviction. ICE Boston found and arrested him in Methuen on Monday. That's 2.5 years after he walked into this country. Can we talk about vetting again? How we vet them? That's what Mayorkas tells us. We vet them. We just don't care about those, pesky little child rape convictions. All right, case 3, Billy Ernie Butrago Bustos, a Colombian illegal alien, was arrested in October 2023 by police in Great Barrington for forcibly raping a Massachusetts child. This time, the Berkshire County Jail honored ICE's detainer request and transferred him into custody on Friday. That is one state, one day. Why? Because it's a sanctuary state. We provide sanctuary to child rapists. There they are. We got photos of them taken into custody. Why are they all here in Massachusetts? Because this is the place to come if you're a evil, savage predator who likes to prey on children. You could do that here, and there's a good chance our government, state government, local government will protect you. Just a reminder, can we get Maura Healey after the election? She goes on with Lawrence O'Donnell, and everybody knew Trump had a mandate on that day that his team, led by Tom Homan and Stephen Miller, were coming after these monsters. That was priority number 1. Get the bad guys. So the governor, the elected governor, who won by 24, 25 points, goes on MSNBC and explains she's not going to help catch these criminals. She's not going to assist the feds in any way in finding and arresting men who are raping kids. Watch this.
Would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
No, absolutely not.
Just hours after President Trump won the
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is a woman when a illegal alien was arrested for raping a disabled 15-year-old child at a Healy Hotel in Rockland, said, things will happen. Things happen. Things happen, guys. 15. Here she is when asked about this case. By the way, he's still in custody. She must not be happy about that. Can't get him bailed out. But here she was asked about a rape of a disabled child by someone who wasn't supposed to be here. Go ahead.
He asked Governor Healy if she can prevent this type of incident from happening again.
Unfortunately, we have security and systems in place. We have vetting in place. It is unfortunate that from time to time things will happen.
But
from time to time, things will happen. Things will happen. Can you just feel the compassion from these people, from Maura Healey and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Don't they have just real, deep-seated compassion for children, for the most vulnerable in our society, the most marginalized, disabled children? They don't care about them so much, but Trans Day of Remembrance, let's all celebrate. Let's get to the second time I got choked up yesterday. Was watching Tom Homan. Tom Homan, I got to say, I have a man crush on him. I think he's a beautiful man. I think he's a great man. I think he's just the man for this job. I think when he's asked about all the criticism he's going to get from Democrats and the media, he says, I don't care. And I believe him. This is Trump's best appointment. I look forward to him getting to work on January 20th. I look forward to him when he comes to Massachusetts, having a confrontation with Maura Healey, or goes to Colorado, or goes to Chicago, and local officials attempt to get in his way. He is prepared for that. He is prepared to protect Americans, whether they like it or not. He went on with Laura Ingraham to talk about the Lake and Riley case. This is a man with real compassion. This is a man who's genuinely trying to help save vulnerable people, children, women, girls out for a jog. They matter to him. They don't matter to Biden or Harris. They matter to Tom Homan. Watch this.
Laura, a lot of people ask me why I get so emotional when I do Fox News, and why I scream at members of Congress. Because I've seen so much tragedy. I've talked to hundreds of angels and moms and dads who buried their children because they're killed by illegal alien. This is just the latest. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by members of cartel. When you look in her eyes and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her soul, and her life will never be the same. I mean, it's just, I'm tired of it. And the government failed the Lake and Riley family. Not only, if President Trump was president, he'd be sitting in Mexico in the Remain in Mexico program. And if he did get to New York and he was arrested for injury to a child in New York, I used to be able to arrest him because the priorities under Trump where if you're in the country illegally, you're a target. But because Secretary Mayorkas put the priorities so low, even the injury to the child didn't meet the standards, so ICE could even place a detainer on him. So this is purely, it could have been prevented. This young lady's dead. And I want every mayor, every governor of a sanctuary jurisdiction to listen to that tape, listen to this young girl fight for her life, fight for her breath, trying to survive, terrified. Think of I want you to understand what she went through. Like the 9-year-old boy, the 5-year-old boy in the back of the tractor trailer that I held, I found him dead, baked to death. I thought about what the last hour of his life was like. You need to listen to this tape. And for those governors and mayors who are saying they're going to stop Tom Homan, they're going to stop President Trump, shame on you. Your responsibility is protect your communities. And that's what we want to do, is protect your community.
God, I got to say, I just love this man. I just love this man. I'm so looking forward to him getting to work. I mean, that's real compassion. That's a man with a heart. That's a man who cares about Lake and Riley, who cares about the 15-year-old disabled girl in Rockland, or the 7-year-old girl on Nantucket who was repeatedly raped by an illegal alien and put in the hospital. He cares about them. Maura Healey cares about the criminals. That's what that Mayor Wu in Boston. She cares about the criminals. They are there to protect the next Jose Ibarra, and the media will have their back. My God, Holman's going to be painted as the cruel guy with no compassion. And the next time anyone wants to talk about separating families, the next time AOC goes on one of her phony rants about separating families, I would like to remind her that they separated Laken Riley from her family, and that's permanent. She didn't get a choice. Her family has been destroyed by these policies, and they're never going to be whole again. It's just sick. Here is ABC. I never heard of this guy. His name's Ike Ajoki or Ajochi. He knows who's responsible. Look at this. We got a split screen with Jose Ibarra sitting there at the sentencing and an ABC News reporter, allegedly. He knows who's to blame for the death of Laken Riley. Who else? Donald Trump. This is unreal. Let's watch.
The manner to injure a child less than 17, as well as a motor vehicle violation. But it's important to note that although there is very little evidence indicating a connection between immigration and violent crime, this is still something the President-elect Trump, several Republicans on the Hill wanted to essentially plant their flag on and point that to the current Biden administration. And we saw that even as early as President Biden's latest State of the Union address, where Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene infamously interrupted President Biden, forcing him to acknowledge the death of Laken Riley, something that President Biden did by holding up a pin in her during that State of the Union. But it is important to note that all of this vitriol that we're hearing from Republicans and President-elect Trump regarding the policies of the Biden administration, it's important to know that President-elect Trump did force Republicans to essentially tank a bipartisan border security bill that both sides of the aisle said would have essentially addressed border security and immigration issues.
Oh, God. You just don't hate the media enough. You just don't hate people like this enough. That is the fakest of fake news. Look at him with his serious newsman face. And Laken Riley is on the split screen, and he talks about a bill, a phony bipartisan border bill that would do nothing to close the border, that would allow 5,000 illegal aliens in a day, which would have put Jose Ibarra on a path to citizenship, which would have provided lawyers and NGOs with millions to help facilitate more illegal aliens coming over the border. And by the way, the bill was introduced 2 years after Ibarra came into the country. So it has nothing to do with this story, nothing to do with this case. And he says the vitriol from Republicans. So pointing out that Laken Riley would be alive today if we close the border, that's just vitriol. And they planted their flag on this case. No, I would say they pointed out the fact that Joe Biden flew Jose Ibarra into the country without vetting, a gang member, a violent gang member, and then flew him to Athens, Georgia, where he murdered an innocent American. That is just, ABC News is just disgusting. These people are just absolute scum. You are scum, whatever your name is. Ike, you are
all for votes was just so gross.
It is. And you're right. It is gross. It is tawdry. It is scummy. It is slimy. I mean, on the day they convict her killer, on the day her parents, her loved ones, her family gives those incredible impact statements, he's talking about a phony border bill that was nothing but a campaign stunt. And would have done nothing. I mean, again, that was in February. He came into the country years before that. He killed her before that. What a joke. What an absolute joke. All right. Well, we got nothing else big in the news today. Nothing much. Other than imminent nuclear war. Yeah, we should probably get to that. Yes. We got an update on Russia's moves in response to Joe Biden authorizing Ukraine to fire U.S. missiles deep into Russia. Yes, Russia responded again, and they did it in historic fashion yesterday. We are getting closer and closer. We got 60 days for Joe Biden to dump us in the middle of World War III. Maybe Joe, maybe Barack, I don't know who. I don't know who's making the call, but somebody is determined to get us into war in the next 2 months. We'll tell you about that. Oh, and we got to get to the single worst commercial, the single worst TV ad, worse than Bud Light, worse than anything you've ever seen, worse than any TV ad ever made. We'll show you that. But first.
Excuse me.
Are your loved ones aging? Has walking become difficult for your parents, your grandparents? It's tough. I've been there. I know lots of you have been there too. Stairs can often be a challenge for them. It's also a significant risk of falling. Well, Lifeway Mobility, one of the largest providers of accessibility solutions, offers stair lifts, wheelchair ramps, home elevators, transfer aids, and bath safety solutions to improve safety, independence, and quality of life at home. Most of their solutions are made in the USA, and they provide professional installation and service. Gain peace of mind and help loved ones stay safe at home. Schedule a free consultation when you call Lifeway Mobility at 888-780-7923. They have locations across the U.S. with showrooms for you to see and test their products. They're also rated the best stair lift company by the National Council on Aging and by U.S. News, and they have over 6,000 five-star reviews. Call 888-780-7923 or visit lifewaymobility.com for your free consultation. That's 888-780-7923. Do you wake up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, or ringing in your ears from grinding and clenching your teeth at night? I've been through this. It's fairly common, and dentists charge $600 for a bruxism night guard. Many people are now discovering the Brux Night Guard. Unlike regular night guards that go all the way to the back of the teeth, Brux Night Guard only covers the front teeth. This unique design is what sets Brux Night Guard apart from all other guards. It only covers the front teeth, so the bite force is directed away from the back, where many people grind and clench to help reduce jaw pain and still protect the teeth. You mold it at home to the top and bottom teeth. And unlike other guards, it is made in America and uses two materials for added durability. Order a Brux Night Guard today and use the code MAX22 to get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to bruxnightguard.com and enter the code word MAX22. There's nothing much else going on in the world. We got Matt Gaetz' love life. We got Matt Gaetz. If you're watching cable news, it's pretty much 24/7. Let's get Matt Gaetz. You know, Merrick Garland didn't find any criminal wrongdoing, but damn it, Morning Joe is going to find something. They're determined to destroy him. And we got, Daniel Penny. He's on trial in New York for his life, a hero, an American hero. Alvin Bragg's trying to put him behind bars for 18 years. I don't think it's going to work, but we got, what else is in? Oh, that's right. We're one step closer to nuclear war. Yes, we are. This has kind of been buried. Not the biggest headline of the day, but whatever. Dateline Kyiv. This is from Reuters. I want to get this right. Russia fired an intercontinental ballistic missile during an attack on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro on Thursday. Kyiv's Air Force said in what would be the first use in war of a weapon designed to deliver long-distance nuclear strikes. Yes, an ICBM was fired from Russia into Ukraine. This is the first time this weapon has ever been used in warfare. And it's like, The launch highlights rapidly rising tensions in the 33-month-old war after Ukraine fired U.S. missiles at targets inside Russia this week, despite warnings by Moscow that would see such an act as a major escalation. So this is what Joe Biden is determined to do, escalate and make it more difficult, if not impossible, for Donald Trump to settle this. Vladimir Putin said he'd be open to discussions if they involved Donald Trump. He would be open to a ceasefire, to ending this stupid, pointless foreign war. What do? We respond by firing U.S. missiles 100 miles into Russia. They respond, if you're watching along, with that. That is an ICBM fired into Ukraine. It could have been equipped with a nuke. It wasn't. We don't know the death toll yet or the destruction, but we know it wasn't armed with a nuclear warhead. The next one might be, but whatever. We're fighting for democracy, right? If we don't stop him, he's going to roll into Poland, and then soon he'll be in France and England, and then he'll come over he'll be in New York. If we don't stop him now, let's give another $200 billion. By the way, you know what else Joe Biden did? He's trying to cancel $4.25 billion in Ukraine debt to us on his way out the door. He's almost not even hiding it anymore. He wants to keep the money laundering machine going for 2 more months. It sure feels like a major escalation. It sure feels like we may wake up tomorrow to a nuke destroying a Ukrainian city in response to us authorizing U.S. missiles fired into Russia. But Lloyd Austin, we can't have a Secretary of Defense like Pete Hegseth. He never worked for Raytheon. He was never a general. He was never sitting in the Pentagon shuffling papers. He was busy leading his platoon in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, former board member of Raytheon, Lloyd Austin, was asked on MSNBC, of course, about this latest provocation and are we closer to nuclear war? I guess they found him. Sometimes you can't find Lloyd Austin. He just goes missing for weeks at a time, and you never know where he is. But, man, he's qualified. Not Pete Hegseth, but this guy, he's overqualified. Listen to him talk about this, which is, again, by any definition, a major escalation, a major step closer to nuclear war. Go ahead.
We've known for several weeks that they were revamping their policy on use of nuclear weapons. As I look at what they're doing, and we watch their strategic forces, very carefully. I don't see a change in their strategic force posture, and so we'll continue to remain vigilant in this regard. But at this point, no, I don't see an indication that there's an imminent intent to use nuclear weapons.
No, what would give you that idea? Just a missile fired, by the way, 700 kilometers, 435 miles, fired from the Russian region of Astrakhan to Dnipro in central eastern Ukraine. 435 miles, a missile that could have been equipped with a nuke. But Lloyd Austin doesn't see any indication that they might use nukes, that they might make a major escalation. Man, Trump has his work cut out for him. He's got to settle this war. He's got to deal with Russia, Ukraine, and our current sitting president. He's got to find a way to settle this before Joe Biden burns the damn world down. The old man just wants to watch the world burn. That's what he wants to do before he leaves office. All right, before we leave, we got to get to this commercial. I'm telling you, the Bud Light thing, we lived through that. We were big supporters of the boycott. I still am. Screw Bud Light. But that was when they put Dylan Mulvaney in a commercial, and he sat in the bathtub with his Bud Light. And it was bizarre. It was insane. Then we talked about the woman behind it, and she was sick of all the frat boy, the humor from Bud Light drinkers, and she wanted something brighter and happier. And of course, she lost her job. Bud Light lost billions. They may never recover their market share. It was just a major gaffe by a woke, tone-deaf executive at Bud Light. Someone at Jaguar or their advertising agency or in their, maybe it's their CEO, someone saw that and said, you know what? Hold my beer. Hold my Bud Light. At least they had the product in the Bud Light ad. There's no car. This is an ad for Jaguar, the car, the luxury British car company. We like Jaguars. They're nice. I'd never buy one, but I think people who buy them are well off, probably mostly, rich men who like luxurious cars. I think they're trying to appeal to them. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how this appeals to a single car buyer who's going to watch this and buy a Jaguar. This is amazing. Watch this thing and tell me, what are they trying to say here? Who are they appealing to? It's just bizarre. Go ahead. Create exuberant. It's like a delete ordinary. Break molds. You have a guy in a dress with a hammer. Copy nothing. Jaguar. No cars. No winding roads along the ocean. No Bob Seger songs. Just a bunch of, I guess, non-binary people. By the way, the whole theme is like, don't copy anyone. Don't be ordinary. These are zombies. Look at them. They have no emotion. They all have the same kind of expression on their faces. They're copying each other. There's nothing original or exuberant about this. This is, Elon Musk tweeted it out and just said, don't you sell cars? Musk, who doesn't advertise, and his car company is one of the biggest in the world, certainly bigger than Jaguar. But this always amazes me. Like, somebody had this idea. I understand. There's a weirdo in every office. There's someone that wants to push the boundaries. But it had to go through multiple levels. It had to go through multiple executives and get the okay. And they saw that and they said, yeah, that's the message we want to convey to potential luxury car buyers. They're not selling some weird little QB EV. They're selling Jaguars. And they thought that made sense. By the way, are we supposed to know what gender everyone is in this? Because I sure don't. Oh, breaking news from Newsmax. Illinois Supreme Court overturns conviction of Jussie Smollett. Of course they do. Only in Illinois. Jussie Smollett, who forced the Chicago PD to spend days searching for two white MAGA guys. I don't think they searched that hard because they knew he was lying. Cost the city of Chicago hundreds of thousands of dollars, attempted to start a race war, failed miserably. And he was convicted, and he did, I think, 6 days in jail. And then he had to get out because, I don't know, he didn't like it there. He felt icky, so they let him out. I guess he won't be going back to jail. Jussie Smollett, who did his best to rip this country apart, failed miserably because he was such a clown. And by the way, his biggest supporter, Kamala Harris, who called it a lynching or something. Only Kamala Harris could actually believe a con man like Jussie Smollett. Too bad. Sad. He will not be returning to jail. I don't think he's ever going to be a movie star, though, which is what he was hoping, or a big TV star. Not going to happen. But all right.
He should be on the first trip to Mars.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's Chicago. It's not America. It's like Massachusetts. It doesn't matter. It's like he's free and Daniel Penny's going to jail. It's not because it's not an indictment on the country. It's just these local crazed DAs like Alan Bragg and Alvin Bragg and Deborah Gonzalez. They're woke strongholds, and we may never change things in those communities. But we'll see. We'll see how Daniel Penny, we'll be watching that closely. Hopefully he gets acquitted. Hopefully there's enough strap hangers on the jury who know he's a hero. And when he gets out, hopefully this country honors him properly and he wins, medals and trophies and makes millions because he deserves it. But we will leave it there for today. Thanks for, what day is it? Trans Day of Remembrance. Yes. Lovely Trans Day of Remembrance. Hope everyone enjoys it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many.